The moon, emotional fulfillment. Of all the celestial bodies, the moon completes its cycle the fastest, cycling from new moon to full moon and back again in just 28 days. It represents that which is most cyclic and changeable in us as well, our emotional character. Where the sun represents the conscious self-identity, the moon represents the ever-changing cycles of emotional responses to the sun's light, thereby necessitating the first great balancing act in the development of consciousness. Since the sun and moon rule different phases of the daily cycle, they represent essentially different realities. The sun rules the day, where all is visible and the conscious mind is in charge, while the moon rules the night of the subconscious, where emotions dominate. Thank you, Goat Life. Having emotions is a part of being human. How we each respond to and interact with this part of our character is a matter of personal choice, but the fact that everyone feels is as unmistakable as the fact that everyone breathes. Emotions cover a wide variety of experiences. They give the capacity for love, happiness, joy, compassion, and all that has meaning in life. They also represent anger, disappointment, sentimentality, and despair. With emotions, there is a capacity to feel, and the range is from joy to sorrow and everything in between. It is when emotions are not allowed expression in spite of their overwhelming presence that they become problematic. This chapter will explore the source of negative and positive emotions and provide exercises for establishing healthy outlets for them. Being skillful in dealing with the emotional needs of a relationship takes some training and practice, but the rewards are certainly worth the effort. It could be said, with little argument, that emotions are the least understood aspect of the human experience. Our school systems focus primarily on intellectual training, which is understandable, as mental pursuits tend to be rational and logical, to the degree that they can be measured. You can study algebra, and your teacher can design a test to easily measure your degree of competence. Emotions, on the other hand, are subjective in nature and therefore cannot be measured. Perhaps this is why training in emotional fulfillment is not part of our mainstream educational curriculum. How could you be tested and graded on your competence? How can something be measured that has no shape of its own? Our culture is just emerging from a time when emotions have been considered second-class citizens compared to rational thought. Men, particularly, have been trained to overcome their feelings and emotional. Overcome usually means repress. Women are taught that too much emotional expression makes other people, especially men, define you as weak and needy. So who is left with skills for dealing successfully with emotional expression? Who has been prepared to meet the emotional challenges of creating meaningful relationships? The image of a strong person in our culture is often associated with one who has learned to control their emotions. Indeed, this is one type of strength, but it is hardly sufficient in achieving emotional fulfillment. Emotional strength deals with adaptability and responsiveness, which allows a person to flow with and gently ride upon the tides of emotions. Emotions are cyclic in nature. In order to be successful in dealing with them, you must be able to move with the tides. Trying to stop the movement of your emotions is like trying to stop the tides of the Pacific Ocean or wishing that the moon were always full. Both of these are equally futile endeavors and will only prove to be a source of frustration. Emotional cycles. Just as the shape of the moon and the tides of the ocean are in constant stage of cyclic change, so too are your natural emotions. Our culture overemphasizes consistency as a virtue, where business goes on as usual, regardless of personal feelings. Even the labels we use to describe our moods, up and down, imply that half of our feelings are considered bad. This fear of and resistance to unpleasant emotions leads to control and repression, rather than to the sought after, always sunny disposition. When we learn to surrender to the ebb and flow of our emotional character, a graceful, natural rhythm emerges. Experiment with identifying your emotional cycles as outward and inward instead of up and down. In the inward phase, you learn to retreat from the outer world to contemplate the meaning of your outward experiences. You will benefit from creating enriching experiences for the inward turning times, rather than just getting through the low tides. When your inward cycle is resisted, emotional issues can erupt, becoming problematic and difficult, and finally pushing to the surface, where they are usually blown way out of proportion and out of balance. When you adapt to your natural rhythm, emotional experiences become integrated into your daily life, which enables you to become more responsive to all of life situations. You feel sad when sad is appropriate, and joyful when situations tickle your heart. You become more graceful in all your emotional responses, so that instead of becoming an annoying distraction, your emotions become a source of enrichment woven through the fabric of your daily life. Canceling appointments and retreating within yourself every time you feel a mood shift is not suggested. Instead, you are encouraged to fulfill your responsibilities while being aware of your mood shifts throughout the day. Think of the outward and inward phases of the cycle as relative instead of absolute. During low tide, you can cultivate healthy inward directed activities like reading certain books, listening to music, engaging in all spiritual activities, and enjoying quality alone time. Then, when your emotional tides changes, you can re-engage with the world feeling refreshed and restored. Sorry, the grow light went off. It is not 8 o'clock. Okay, sorry, my bad. Using this information will allow you more effectively Using this information will allow you to more effectively plan your time and maximize your energy. Ideally, during the low tides, you will disengage from outer attention and turn your focus inward. You can still do everything you need to do, but in a more passive, reflective way. High energy times are when you are able to handle more activity and naturally express more enthusiasm. If a life is filled with expansion and expression exclusively, there is no opportunity to integrate experiences and find meaning. Appreciate these inward cycles as a time that allows you to internalize your experiences. Ooh, how did you know that my throat was scratchy? Oh my gosh, it's so good, y'all. Look at the smoothie my child just made me. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Do I? Am I reading this book to you and you paying attention even though you don't even know you want to pay attention? That's what's happening.
She's on live. How many people on the live?
81. Emotional nurturance. The secret of emotional strength deals with nurturing. With physical strength and assertive force, you can win obedience, and that's all. But with emotional strength and nurturance, you can win love. Real nurturing enables you to form bonds with others. Imagine a situation where the parents of a family decide that it would be most cohesive if the whole family would have a meal together on Sunday nights. One approach to make this happen would be to discipline the family members to the degree that they show up for dinner or find themselves on the outs with their parents for a whole week. In this case, fear is the motivating factor, and that works if everyone obediently shows up for dinner. Another approach would be the path of nurturance by providing a great dinner with favorite treats. The parents could create an atmosphere of love and acceptance through these ritual dinners. This could be a time when each of the members has the opportunity to share what is going on with them in their personal lives. On the surface, it would look like dinner, but it would be so much more. Feeling loved and a part of the whole family would be the shared experience. Both approaches would meet the parents' goals of cohesiveness. The difference: empty obedience holds the family together through fear of discipline, while nurturing holds them together through the power of love. Here is a good rule to follow when you are dealing with emotional relationships. That which you nurture grows. Whether it is the isness or the isn't-ness, is the choice is always yours. You can either see what is there or you can focus on what is missing. You can develop the habit of nurturing the aspects of your relationship that you wish to see grow. Even when you are apart from each other throughout the day, there is an opportunity to nurture what you wish to see grow in your relationship. Ask yourself honestly, when I am away from my partner, what is the quality of my emotional feelings toward that person? If the answer is that it is mostly negative, with a focus on the frustrations, irritations, and disappointments of the relationship, then this is what you are nurturing. So what is going to grow? Obviously, your frustration is going to grow because this is what you are investing in. On the other hand, if the quality of time spent away while you're away from your partner is positive, with a focus on what you enjoy about the relationship, then that is what you are nurturing, and that is what will grow. Create an inner nest of warmth and love for your partner to return to, and most assuredly, the fruits of your labor will improve your relationships. Emotional withdrawal. It is surprising how many people think their feelings are obvious to those around them. Though you don't expect your friends to be mind readers, you might wish they were when it comes to interpreting your feelings. After all, your feelings are so apparent to you that others would have to be totally insensitive to not know what's going on with you, right? Here is a typical scenario. Something is very important to you, and you are quite aware of your feelings concerning the issue. Your partner comes home with other things on his mind. You know what your feelings are about the matter, so you feel no need to communicate what is obvious to you. But he doesn't notice your unexpressed feelings. Aha! Since he doesn't notice, that means he doesn't care. The reasoning goes, if he did care, he would talk about the issue without you having to bring it up, right? How many times have you assumed that your partner should be psychic? This scenario always leads to emotional withdrawal. It is as if the other person is tried, convicted, and sentenced for a crime that he didn't even know he committed, and the fact that he didn't know is the evidence used to convict him. If this situation sounds familiar, ask yourself, is it really fair to hide something from others and then judge them for not finding it? As you work on expressing your emotions more deftly, you will be surprised at how often you will discover that what appears obvious to you is not so apparent to the people around you. To skillfully express your emotional needs and experiences requires owning your emotions without blaming others. Stay away from blaming statements such as, "You made me feel blank," or You caused me to feel blank. To take responsibility for your emotions, claim them right off with statements such as, I feel sad when you talk to me that way. Or try saying, I would enjoy spending time together this weekend, instead of, you never spend time with me. Stay mindful of the tone of your voice. Remember, when communicating your emotions, it is not just the words that others will respond to. The tone of your voice, facial expressions, body language, and accompanying feelings will also have an impact. Past experiences. Most long-term relationships have a certain amount of energy locked up, but not forgotten, in past experiences. All too often, an attitude of, it's no use crying over spilled milk, is used in dealing with the past. This attitude is most unfortunate, as it cuts you off from the resource of many of your life experiences and valuable lessons. The future is filled with maybes, could be's, and might be's, but the past is filled with the actual content of your life, and it is not dead. It is the living foundation of your present life. Considering the past as being alive with wisdom still to be harvested can prevent you from not having to learn the same lessons over and over again. The past is a vast field of personal experiences from which much meaning can still be harvested. The following exercise will help you reclaim that energy. Moon exercise for gathering wisdom from your past. Be a spiritual detective and harvest the wisdom from past emotionally confusing experiences in your relationships. Maintain the vantage point of a spiritual detective. You do not necessarily want to engage all the hurt and confusion of the memory. That's not the point. Stay detached so you can view it with the intent of gathering wisdom that you previously missed. Tell yourself you would like your higher mind to reveal the meaning of significant past experiences. Talk to your higher mind as if it were a friend and ally from whom you are seeking help. Ask your higher self, what am I to learn from this situation to help me in being a better person? What wisdom can I glean from this experience to be a wiser, more compassionate person? How could I have handled the situation more skillfully? Be open to the insights you gain from this perspective. What were you to learn? An answer will come to you, and all you have to do now is accept it as wisdom gained without too much questioning or fabrication of excuses. Sometimes you see that you brought this on yourself through actions you initiated. Sometimes you see that you are being asked to develop a strength or quality that you were not quite ready to accept at the time. You can always learn something. Know in your heart that all your experiences in life are authored by your soul itself, and there is a lesson to be learned from all of them. The question is often asked, if you had a chance to do it over again, would you do it differently? Well, you never really get to change the past, but you can always change your understanding of the meaning of the past. When you change the meaning, you change the living foundation of the present, and you don't need to keep creating the same scenario over and over again to learn the lesson behind the challenge. You go forward with the wisdom learned from the experience rather than with unintended karmic seeds that will surely sprout again. Vulnerability. With the celebration that love brings also comes a vulnerability to pain. With love, there is a risk, no, a guarantee of pain. In the process of coming to know another person, there are the inevitable bruised feelings and misunderstandings. They hurt, but the wounds are healed through the love shared. However, another type of pain that is not so easy to heal is the pain of isolation that comes when you are too good at protecting your vulnerability. the natural hurt and pains involved with getting to know another are nothing compared to the pangs of loneliness that result from walling yourself off for protection. A requirement of experiencing emotional intimacy is that you be willing to present your vulnerability to another by opening your heart and expressing your feelings. Know that life comes with its share of emotional pains and disappointments, and direct your attention to the way you handle and process them. It makes all the difference in the world as to how healthy a relationship stays. If a person believes that pain and disappointment should not be felt in a good relationship, this will lead to all kinds of problems stemming from unrealistic expectations. This inability to accept pain as a natural part of a healthy relationship leads to protecting one's vulnerability by shielding the heart, making it impenetrable. This strategy works, but a heart impervious to pain is also inaccessible to love. Emotional comfort zones. One of the characteristics of our emotional nature is that it is comfortable with what is familiar. Emotional habit patterns, whether they are satisfying or not, make up your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is defined by your past experiences. If you attempt to expand your comfort zone, you will feel uncomfortable until you adjust. Too often, people wait for the exact right time or set of circumstances to grow and expand, and it never comes. By definition, it is as a new and unfamiliar experience, even a positive one. It will stretch your comfort zone. Unless you want to stay somewhat the same, you will have to keep stretching beyond what is comfortable. Expanding your emotional comfort zone is not about simply getting over your feelings or repressing them. It's about stretching them. In yoga, we learn to identify the tension of posture and then breathe into the tension as we stretch. The same principle can work with stretching your comfort zone. Not the battery died. Hopefully y'all can see me. Thank you, boss man. The lesson is one of adapting to your feelings through acceptance. Become aware of what you are trying to accomplish by expanding your comfort zone and familiarize yourself ahead of time with the process you will be going through. An example of wanting to stretch your emotional comfort zone would be if you desire to get out and socialize with people more often, but every time the opportunity arises, it doesn't quite feel right, so you decline, and then feel bad the next morning over missing the opportunity. Know that this is your tendency and vow to stretch past its limits. When the next opportunity presents itself, and your familiar feelings of resistance begin to arise, accept them, breathe into the resistance to relax the tension, and stretch yourself into saying yes. Before embarking on your experience, visualize in advance what to expect. Tell yourself it is healthy and normal to feel uncomfortable with new situations. Talk to your emotions and let them know that it is all right to feel insecure for a time, and that soon this new situation will become familiar, and once again, they will feel comfortable. Try it. It works. I got this dress from the TikTok shop. Make sure you check on the little link right there, okay, and get yours today. Silent emotional communication. One of the genuine frustrations in working through emotional difficulties with a partner is the inadequacy of words to accurately describe your intent. How frustrating it can be to know your intent so clearly and then to hear how poorly your words describe your feelings. There are also many emotional states and feelings that simply cannot be put into words effectively. How often have you wanted to express a feeling to a friend and could just not begin to find the appropriate words. Instead of being facilitative, words can actually inhibit self-expression. Consequently, learning to express yourself without words can lead to a tremendous feeling of accomplishment and relief. In the next exercise, you will need a willing partner who is also interested in this type of work. Thank you for the roses, Slim. Moon exercise for cultivating silent communication. Set aside 5 minutes of quiet time for you and your partner. Stare deeply into each other's eyes silently while staying with the emotions that arise. Upside down. This is silent communication, so the ground rules are no talking before, during, or after the experience. No fair asking the other person what they were feeling when you saw them twitch. This is an exercise in developing your ability to know from your emotional feelings what your partner is experiencing. Feel safe in being with your inner emotions, knowing they will not be judged or even discussed by your friend. This experience of silent communication is often uncomfortable at first, even with a loved one. We are not used to others looking deeply into the windows of our soul. But as you move beyond your own resistance and stay with the feelings, you will begin to notice that your partner is going through the same experience. Stay with the emotions as they pull your attention to the depth of your being. Simultaneously, stay attentive to the gaze and your awareness of your partner's experience. You will experience a strong sensation of energy. Try not to freeze in resistance to the energy or to get stuck on one sensation. Emotions are fluid. Let them move through you with non-attachment. You will note in a very short time that you and your friend develop a strong emotional rapport. You begin to feel not only the separate emotional fields of you and your partner, but also the combined energy, forming a third energy field. Allow this rapport to be felt throughout the day as you take note of both your own and your friend's feelings. It will become easier and easier to communicate silently with a knowing glance. The gulf that often separates couples in their emotional relating is regrettable. Settle for nothing less than close emotional bonding, and alienation will disappear. Demand that your closest relationships be of the highest order of love and satisfaction, as they will be, and they will be. Always give love from your deepest center, and you will not be disappointed. Thank you for the gift. Emotional openness. Most people understand the concept of open-mindedness. It is not always practiced, but at least understood. There are different mental perspectives on all situations, and everyone has an independent view of life. Open-minded individuals welcome stimulating thoughts, whether they synchronize with their own or not. They are able to appreciate different ways of thinking as a natural facet of life and realize they are expanding through alternate perceptions. The same openness is possible at the emotional level, although considerably harder to attain. In any situation, there can be many right ways to respond emotionally and no wrong ways. This certainly sounds easy enough to understand, but it is immensely difficult to live. To learn to allow others their emotional truths without feeling personally responsible for how they feel is true freedom. In order to achieve this, you have to learn to overcome your defensive reaction that responds to another person's emotional response as a threat. The difficulty stems from the ego defense mechanism. Wouldn't it be wonderful to be so secure within your own emotions that you could be around people with different emotional responses without feeling threatened? You can, but it is a skill and usually needs to be consciously developed. The secret is in finding your emotional center and then staying there, even though it is constantly changing. Everyone has an ego that functions as a sentinel patrolling the boundaries. Patrolling the boundaries of their comfort zone and protecting the fortress against any challenging emotions. The ego's job is to help maintain your self-identity, but it is often overprotective and does not allow you to experience any feelings that are not part of the pre-existing emotional structure. If we were as guarded mentally as we are emotionally, we would never learn anything because we would not allow new thoughts into the mind. This would be a sorry state of affairs. No growth. The same applies to emotions. If you don't allow other people to express their emotions freely because you can't handle that level of emotional intensity, there will be no growth. There is always clarity in your center. Learn to reside here during emotional interactions, and you will be emotionally open. Know that the sentinel will be there, sounding the alarm if a real threat occurs. Be aware that when you allow your attention to be placed fully on the sentinel, your defenses will immediately go up and protect against the perceived invasion. Instead, immediately retreat into your center where you are the safest and the clearest. Retreat is often thought of as a sign of weakness, but when you are returning to your center, it is anything but weakness. Emotional fulfillment in relationships does not just happen. It takes clarity of intent to ride the ever-changing tides of your own emotional cycles. It takes even more clarity of intent to learn the emotional patterns of your partner. To gently ride the currents of the combined emotional energy of both individuals requires still greater clarity, but settle for nothing less. Stay diligent and be willing to teach each other along the way. You will get there, and the rewards will be well worth the effort. The moon through the signs. The sign your moon was in at your birth describes your emotional habits and comfort zones, the way you respond to your emotional needs, and how you express yourself emotionally. In relationships, the moon is just as important as the sun. These two parts of your character must be integrated for you to experience the best with others. The sign of your moon defines how you express your emotions, how you nurture and receive nurturing from others, and the emotional habit patterns you develop to feel comfortable with your life. Consider the needs of your sun sign and think of your moon sign as the emotional support system you need to sustain the strength of the sun. While your sun sign describes how you project yourself into the world, your moon sign describes how you retreat to rejuvenate yourself and what habit patterns of comfort you develop, as well as how you nurture others and how you would like to receive nurturing from others. Knowing the moon sign of others will give you clues as to how to better understand and relate to their emotional needs.